Good morning. It's Judges Jules, episode 9. That's the 8th of August. And look who I've got with me. My mate Simon. Hello, mate. How are you?
Morning, all. Yeah, very good, very good. Another good weekend. And I'm off to Windsor tonight, Judge.
Oh, I'm coming, mate. I'm ever so sorry. I've already phoned in sick. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, Tom Dick, yeah.
Train times. Oh,
Note from teacher.
Yes, yeah. It was in the dog, wasn't it? Or the saying goes or something like that.
The dog ate my homework.
That's the one. No, I've never used that, honest.
Yeah.
I'm just going to talk about the weekend. Isn't it amazing where we were about 3 weeks ago? We had so much good. Right. Oh, I like that. Very good.
When you're a very, very popular person.
Good win one.
Yeah, I never heard of him. When you a very, very popular person, you get sent presents on your 50th birthday, Judge. Now, you're a much younger man than me.
No, I'm there with you, mate.
It's a Donald Trump, and he's saying, you're a really, really great 50-year-old. I won't do the voice. The best, really terrific, just fantastic. Other 50-year-olds, losers, total disasters. Everyone agrees. Believe me. So there you go, the Donald Trump mug.
Very good. Very good. Oh, dear. Don't know whether I have to follow that, but I was just saying, like, everywhere about.
Might as well end now, really.
Exactly. Yeah, brilliant. So we had two. I'll tell you what, to have Donald Trump back at the moment, isn't it? The way things are going.
I love the guy.
Crikey. Anyway.
And I know he's a big fan of this show as well.
Oh, yeah. We're sending a message later. So here we go. 2 or 3 weeks ago, we had all this racing. We had York, Ascot, we had Chester, every single meeting under the sun. And here we are the last 2 weeks. We had the Shergar Cup, which I don't mind. It's
all right. I like it.
I'm run this one by you. My biggest problem with the Shergar Cup and also the Racing League is jockey colours. Why can't they have hats or something? Because it's, you know, the colours of the horses that you normally back, and then you go, well, which one's mine? It's just, it's like horrendous, isn't it? I never want to be a commentator. I know they've got 3 different ones, but I mean, oh dear, we're at football. I'm trying to work out which one of our horses we're just going, is it one or not?
Yeah.
Anyway, right, moving on. So it was some good racing, Shergar Cup, wasn't it? You know,
I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Got a couple of eye catchers. And how did your card marker go, mate?
Oh, well, funny you should say that. Yeah, the Max We Can tipped at 20s, and Am and Zoe, and we had some places as well, and one of them which should have won, but I'll be coming on to that very, very soon.
Okay, mate. Right.
By a little Italian pal of mine.
I nearly sent the perfect link there on more than one occasion.
Exactly.
Right. And speaking of like things like that, I quite like this racing league. I think there's some decent racing at some of these midweeks. I think they're races to follow.
Yeah, there is the cynical and the Twitter brigade who mock and try and tear down everything. Yeah. You can't criticize racing and then have a go at them when they're trying something new to get a new. Now, if people don't like the Shergar Cup, don't watch it. If you don't like the racing league, don't watch it.
Yeah. But they're competitive handicaps, which is perfect for the way that we bet, aren't they?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
You know, you don't want these 5-runner races and 3 runners, you know, even money shots and everything. So
yeah, and we're all moaning about small fields, and these are decent fields, aren't they?
Yeah, and hopefully there's some eye catchers in some of them.
I would hope so.
Yes.
You might have some yourself, Judge.
I've got some from the Thursday night at Donny, and you've got
Believe me.
Yeah. And you've got some from the Shergar Cup on Saturday, haven't you?
I've got 2 from Saturday, yeah, which I think are worth noting.
Right, so I'm gonna, on that note, I'm gonna start on the Thursday night. There was quite a few, to be honest. We've already got Fresh Hope, who's already come out and won since. Yeah. She was a massive eye catcher for me in the 6:10. She's definitely one that you've got to keep in your tracker. She wants a fast run, 7 furlong, maybe a mile. She's definitely going to win again, in my opinion. So she was. There's no point in me putting her up again because she's still already on the show. My one ran in the later race, the sprint. I've written the time down. Watch the 5 furlong race back. There were 2 horses that never come off the bridle. And they were Alligator Alley and Spring Blue. Now, I think there's a lot more leverage in Alligator. I'll spit it out in a minute. Alligator Alleys.
Make it snappy.
Yeah, make it very, very good. I'm biting off more than I can chew there, aren't I? This horse is rated 85 at the moment, and I think I don't think the handicapper's going to drop him too much for the run, but he's got to drop him £1 surely for coming nearly last. But he never come off the bridle. My
I
only
suspect the
downside
handicapper will not drop it. He might even put him up.
I mean, it's embarrassing, wasn't it? I've never seen anything like it. The two of them never come off the bridle. Anyway, this horse, like I say, is rated 85. I think it's two better runs this year. Both been over 6, but he doesn't get home over the 6. And he's finding 5 hard work in terms of not getting there in time. If we can find a 5.5 furlong race, and I know there's one coming up at York, whether he could sneak in off the bottom of the weights is another matter. This guy O'Mara knows how to train these big handicap winners, and I can't help thinking
isn't the Portland 5.5?
Yeah, it is. I had a good look at.
I don't think he'll get in, will he?
He might scrape in off the bottom. I can't think if he could win one race or run well in the run race, he could squeeze in. He wouldn't have got in 2 years ago. Might have scraped in off the bottom of last year of 85. But if he drops a pound, he probably won't get in.
Yeah, true. Serve him right.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah, I agree with you. Getting himself too well handicapped, like the old Cheltenham days. But the only problem this horse has got is at the start. He reared in the stalls again on Thursday. He has been slowly away. But if you have a look at the run at Epsom, he come there to win the race over 6 furlongs. He's rated 92 in June. That race is a good race. I forgot the name of the horse now. The John Quinn horse. Yeah, Mr. Wagyu won the race, and that's obviously won a couple of times since. I think the fault that there's also a horse behind it's come out and won a decent handicap as well. And also an earlier run this year, it ran at York in a 5 furlong race there, when it came 4th to Fine Wine off a mark of 95. So I wonder he might end up running at York, next week. I'll see he's entered later this week, but whether he'll want to win a race at first midweek for $5 grand, I'm not so sure. Perhaps not that I am casting any kind of aspersion, but I think like I say, I like O'Mara and these big handicaps. You see what he done with Orban? He went bang bang. This is the sort of type of horse that's going to win once and probably follow up again because he is very well handicapped now. So for me, Alligator Alley's the first cab off the rank.
Excellent. Right. What I'm doing now is not Frankie bashing, which is common. I love the little fella. I really, really do. However, in the 4:30 on Saturday, a Class 3 1.5 handicap, that awful phrase, which I hate, but I'm going to say it. If he had to ride again, which they never do, so it's a really silly saying. However, he rode Sheer Rocks for E. Johnson Houghton. There was some money for this. They're a very, very cute yard. Now, he got on the inside rail, and as they came around the bend, he maneuvered out, thinking that he wasn't going to get a run. Had he stayed where he was, hindsight's a wonderful thing, a golden highway came because the leader drifted away from the whip. And, now Frankie didn't know that was going to happen. To be very, very clear. I'm not saying it was 9 times out of 10, it was the right maneuver to get him. However, that cost him possibly about a length. He then realized and went back on the rail. If you watch this race again, once he got it rolling, stopped messing around and got actually focused and going forward, he absolutely flew. He held his hands up after to connections, I'm told, and said, look, didn't think I was going to get a run. I knew I had a little horse, tried to get out, then realized, then switched back. Winner waiting to happen. I think this Sheer Rocks is very, very well handicapped. Hamaki, the right horse, won. The Haggis horse under Spencer, who showed a new sort of skill of not being stone last all day. Which
I'll come to that in a minute. But yes,
I don't know whether they need to get Spencer and check his ID and see if it actually was him on Saturday.
So that straight course
the right horse won to Frank the form. The second was a horse called Supergirl. Now Harrington sent over 2, one won and one got narrowly beat. We know she's a class act. Sheer Rocks, I think, should have beaten the pair of them. It's not it's not a jockey bashing because I understand why he did what he did, but I suspect Eve Johnson Houghton will bring this back here. It will go with cut on breeding, so it doesn't need the rock hard ground that I'm off to Windsor tonight. That's going to be like concrete. This was rattling fast. We've had day after day of red hot weather. I would get this in your tracker near the front. you know,
it's already in mine, mate.
Yeah. Now, you might not get 8-1. She come back here, probably be like in a similar race. It'll be 7-2 favourite, whatever. But I do think it'll take some stopping. He'll probably go up a pound or two, but there's a lot left off this mat. There's a lot of juice in this horse. So Sheer Rocks for me is a massive eye catcher to take from Saturday.
Yeah, I also liked his run at Goodwood the time before as well. Behind that, the Italian sounded name. The two of them, he ran on into fifth. Looks like he wanted an extra step up in trip because that was a mile 3 at Goodwood. And she definitely gets a mile 4.
She actually said that she didn't think the horse acted at Goodwood, and he still ran up.
Yeah, it was a good run. You watched the run before back, so that's back to back. And the previous win when it won, I think it won at Chester, didn't it, the time before? Yeah. It picked up a useful horse, and I know it's a 5-horse race, but that weren't a bad race for Chester as well. So,
I think there's a big late season handicap in this.
Definitely progressing. And who's to say, like, it might even improve for an even more of a step up. And Trip might get into the old, what's that mile? Melrose. Whether it could get into something like that. Is that a mile 6 though? Whether it get the Trip the extra 2 furlongs? Possibly.
Well, it wasn't. It's a stiff track.
Stopping at a mile and a half, was it?
Yeah, it's a stiff track, and he was really motoring at the end. Maybe, yeah, but I think there's, I'd stick at a mile and a half for now. I like horses that finish like that. I don't be stepping that up. Yeah, but big eye catcher.
Right, my second one also ran on Saturday, but I thought, well, I'm going to go a little bit away from the action now. I'm going to Haydock for my one, not necessarily for the run on Saturday. It was a good run, but this horse has tried headgear. They put a tongue strap on it for the first time. And a lot of people said it's a good idea for me to put a tongue strap on me. But I thought you might have said something similar. But this horse I'm looking at is also called Thunder Legend. Now, let's have a look. It's formed this year, so 5 runs this year. Third, second. So it's got a little bit of thrice and twice about him. Hence why the headgear's on. It's a William Haggis horse, whose horses have been going well this season. But you have a look at the horses that it got beat by earlier on in the season. Got beat by Alfela, who's gone on, is now a much better higher rated horse. Jimi Hendrix, who's obviously now very useful. Then it got beat by Outgate in possibly one of the best 3-year-old handicaps run this year. It's got 6 subsequent winners behind him that day when he came second. Obviously off this mark of 84, so we know he's handicapped to run well. He then threw the race away, in my opinion, at Haydock, when he came from last to first and then sort of slowed up. And then the race again on Saturday, there was the leader went off really hard. He was the first one in the peloton to chase him, picked him up, and then one picked him up afterwards. Yeah. This horse has been crying out for me a bigger field, Simon. It keeps running in 5 horses. Its best run was when there was more runners in the race. It's the sort of type of horse I want to be backing each way in a 16-runner handicap. Like, This could easily fall in one day when the front runners come back to him and he picks the pieces up afterwards.
Yeah.
And I think it's been running off 84 all season, not been out the frame, and the handicap has still left him on 84. Now he might go up a pound maybe or 2 for the second this week. I think this horse is well handicapped. It's all in the old mullet, if you like. I think he'll be there or thereabouts on his next couple of starts. I think you need to put him in your tracker. That's Thunder Legend, William Haggis horse.
Yeah, excellent. Haggis just motors on, doesn't he? Incredible strike rate.
Absolutely.
My second one was actually in the last at Ascot. Now,
yes,
that was won by the Harry Dunlop horse, A Day in Asia. It's good to see a Lamborn little yard like that on a big day. The favourite, Admiral D, was big word for this. Now, that one does need a step up in trip from 6 to 7 or even a mile, because that thing only really got going very late on a stiff track. Joanna Mason, of course, who rode the first winner. So it's a big day for her. She rode Admiral D. But the one I like is the horse that was second, Spangled Mac, ridden by Nicola Curry. Now, to be fair to her, I'm told she was told to settle this horse. So a lot of the comments and the things online were that she gave it a bad ride, she was too far back, blah, blah, blah. She was riding to instructions. Now, obviously, this horse can be very, very key. in order to settle it, she had to really put the brake on. And this was an interesting race because it fell. They went too fast, basically.
Yes, on the straight.
Yeah, as they often do. And Neil Callan, very, very clever, was out the back, and you could say Spangled Mac was out the back. But I think Neil Callan was more alert and got his mount going. He got the march really on the second and third. Yeah. And I think if these three race again, I'd back Spangled Mac to beat A Day in Asia and Admiral D again. I think this is another well handicapped horse. Now, again, there's lots more races at Ascot. I could see it maybe going for something like a good handicap at Newmarket. They may even look at coming up to Donny or York. I don't know what the plans are for this, but I think you've got to take this horse seriously. That was a good race. It's shown now that it can settle. A bit like what you've just said about the last one. I think a big field where it could be covered up.
Yes.
And there's loads of big sprint handicaps to come. I wouldn't mind this being either stepped up to 7 or in a big field where they really go and it can be covered up near the back. A very, very good trainer. They have shown their hand, obviously, and we won't be the only people talking about this horse, but I do think it's well worth following. And again, it's another example like the Frankie one of a jockey not winning a race, but that doesn't mean necessarily it was a bad ride.
Yeah.
She did what she had to do, and Neil Callan got first run on her really from one out, and then she got rolling that little bit too late. Like I say, if they ever meet again, I strongly suspect Spangled Mac will come out on top. I think it's well handicapped, Judge. I think there's a nice race in this.
Well, interestingly, I've gone through the card on Saturday there, and probably about 4 horses I put in my tracker from that particular meeting, and you mentioned 2 of them. You actually, as she switched, Neil Callan literally got the jump on by the leg, and she got beat half a length. Now, it wasn't her fault; she had to pull round it. But interestingly, I think there were 3 or 4 races on the straight course. One race emptied up, the Orban race, where I backed the second. They went too hard, and the 2 from the back came through. Then there was a sprint which Arecibo took my eye in an earlier race, where pace held up. Manacam won the race, where you had to be up with the pace, so they didn't go too fast. And this was another race where they went too fast, and you had to come from the back. So you would want, obviously, if you were running, you would want a decent gallop to aim at. But wasn't this horse on a 5-timer or won 4 of his last 5 starts? Well, quite progressive horse.
I still think it's well handicapped.
Yeah, so it's still going upwards. That's what I'm getting. It's not. That ceiling hasn't been reached yet. Definitely.
Also have been on it the first time. It must have
absolutely, but I still think I don't think you're going to the funeral rather than the wedding following.
No.
I think there's another win or 2 in it for sure.
I'll tell you what, Judge. This is another example of what you just said then of the Neil Callan that has come back from Hong Kong. He's a far better jockey than the one who went there.
Yeah. Oh, look, he was solid, wasn't he? But he's really, I mean, he's obviously picked up his know-how, and he's right up. He's having a great season, actually.
That was an outstanding ride on that.
It was. But people won't talk about that, will they? Just, that won. He should have won on that anyway. But I disagree. I thought it was an excellent ride. When they just go at the right time to win the race.
Exactly.
Yeah? You've got 2 good ones there, may I add. Not that I'm giving you too much glory.
I say.
My final one, I always like to put one left field, and you're going to go, what's this one from? Right, I've got another one for you. Thursday night, here we go. Thursday, the football split was running. Here we go. I've got also your Pockley. Right, here we go. Right, I've got to be Linda Perrett horse. Now she's had about 5 winners in no time at all, out of nowhere.
That's no offense, but that's like the last 5 years in 1 week, isn't it? No offense.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, but this horse now dipped down to a mark of 70. Now I think it's going to be dropped probably another pound or 2 for getting beat here. This horse was running well in handicaps in the high 70s last year. But you have a look at a couple of runs this season. Its first run this year at York was a brilliant run when it came 5 to 5th Our Little Pony off a mark of 79. loads of winners have come out of that race, and then not such a good run on its next 2 starts. But even when it come last to Snatch 2 runs ago, it got carved up when it's coming for a run. Now, this was a really eye-catching run for me beyond 1 Le Pen, because once again, they were all up the rail, weren't they? All looking for a run, and you had to be drawn high in that particular race. I think this has got to take. This is one for a Northern handicap. It's now eligible for a 0 to 70. It's got a very good record at on the all-weather, interestingly, at Newcastle. It's won twice and come second. But it's also run well at Donny's, 3/3, 5th, and a 6th, and it's run well at York on 3 of its 4 starts as well. But this will almost certainly go under the radar. This will be a 25-33 to 1 poke if it was running at York or at one of the big meetings. But I still think at one of the smaller tracks you'll get 8-10 to 1 this. And I think they'll go for a little tickle on this. The stable's now in much better form, obviously. This is very well handicapped. I think this will be there or thereabouts when it runs on its next start. So Pockley is my final one. So I'm just going to cover my 3. That's Alligator Alley, Thunder Legend, and Pockley. And your couple are, mate?
My 2 are Spangled Mac and Sheer Rocks.
They're both very good one side. You've got the thumbs up from the judge there as well. So I put the old hammer down on those 2, mate.
Yeah. Oh, sounds painful.
Mate, I hope you have a lucky week.
Yeah. And if anyone wants to join us on Sunday, we do have some places left, shsyndicates.com. We think we've got a big chance Sunday. So if you do join the syndicate, it will be a great first day's racing.
Absolutely. Going to say, we're looking forward to seeing you Sunday. I will be there.
All right. I'll meet you at London Bridge, mate.
All right. Look forward to it.
I'll be carrying a copy of the Times.
Brilliant. I should try and find my racing post.
Yeah, exactly. All right, mate. Have a good week.
Bye-bye, all. Bye.
Bye.